Welcome to the Own Your Best Life podcast. I'm May Emson, your host, leadership and mindset coach. Here, we talk all things spiritual, mindset, business, leadership, and wellness for the modern seeker who wants to align their life with purpose and inspiration. We'll cover career changes, stress management, meditation, energy, intuition, and more. Each episode holds spiritual and practical tools to help you live a life of your wildest dreams without getting burnt out along the way. Ready to live a life on your own terms? This is the Own Your Best Life podcast. Welcome to episode number 167 of the Own Your Best Life podcast. So when we actually start to consider how we spend most of our time, it is no surprise that work and how we work is one of our top concerns. And we want to feel like we are using our time well and that we enjoy what it is that we do. And it's time to consider what job you really want and how to make it happen. So today's podcast on getting the job you want is practical. It is straightforward so that you can do something today to move forward, no matter where you are in that journey. And I think it's very key to note that whether or not you have a job you love or not, it's still important to be considering yourself in this place as if you're actively hiring yourself again and again or choosing the job that you want again and again. Because so often we go onto this autopilot mode and we don't evaluate what it looks like to redecide, to recommit, to really be engaged in what we're doing or not. And I think that's what keeps us from actually being fully inspired, really loving what we do again and again, or just starting to dread it all the time and not doing anything about it. So I'm going to start off with these 5 steps because there are 5 steps that I teach in my Career Revelation Academy course. These are the 5 steps to changing your career and loving your work again. And I'll be teaching this live again during my August retreat. So those of you who are coming will get hands-on live workshopping as we work through this. So you'll have a complete roadmap to what it is you want and how to get it and be in action by the end. And this is one of my most popular courses because it is so practical and it is always so timely. We're always thinking about what's next and what we want to do with our work, with our time. We're always wanting to love our job more, even if we're in a job that we completely love. And it is the number one determinant of happiness, which is the way we choose to spend our time. And if we feel like we get to do the things we want in the time that we have. So there are a lot of people right now who are unhappy with their jobs. Gallup has a survey that shows that I think it's about 68 or 70% of people feel disengaged with their work. That's a lot. And when we talk about the spectrum, I think of engagement. It's not necessarily that you are either on or off. You're on this spectrum where you might feel on a day-to-day basis a little bit engaged versus completely disengaged. And so ramping up where you are on that spectrum isn't about more productivity. It isn't about kind of getting the most out of you as a worker. I really want you to consider it working for you. How much more could you actually love what you're doing? How much more enthused can you be about what you have today? How much more committed? And it doesn't mean every day is amazing and that you love every day, but more this idea of how much energy do you think that you are expending actively not liking your work and actively resisting and fighting it versus using that same energy for you, using that same energy with the things that are going to help. So when we think about all those people who are disengaged, it's not because they hate their work, but it might be because of reasons like the pace is unsustainable or they feel that the people they work with are difficult. It could be things that are endemic to the organization or the place that you work, a certain culture of, you know, workaholicism or overworking or not prioritizing or just saying yes to everything and everyone complaining, or certain cultures where it feels that everyone works constantly all the time with no rest and they're complaining if they don't love it and their health is poor. So, either way, there are a number of reasons that people want to switch jobs. They want to improve their jobs. They want to do something different. Some of the top reasons tend to be money and time as well. When your job isn't working for you, you tend to feel like the money or the time equation just doesn't add up. You don't feel like it's worth the way that you're spending your time for the money that you're making. And no matter how much or how little that you feel it is always about what you feel your time is worth. And this is what most people struggle with, not knowing what their time is worth and also not managing their time so that they can get the most out of their time. It is not always the job, which is why I teach so much on time and energy management as well, and how to love where you're at even more. Okay, so let's get into the first step, and I'll break it down for you as succinctly as I can. So, the first step is to always create a vision. You can only gain more clarity when you see where you are today and what you really want. And sometimes you already know what you want, and other times you have no clue where to start. You think, well, the only thing I do know is that I'm not passionate and I want to have my inspiration back. And so this vision creation process is what takes that guesswork out and it lets you see clearly what that future life looks like. And if you are joining my programs, I can't wait for you to see the end result of this process because it often is the thing that gets us motivated and inspired again and has that spark relit so that we feel a sense of, oh, yes, this feels aligned in the way that I want to live. And so if you're not having a vision today, that's where you want to start. The second thing is to define your personal mission. I know this sounds a little bit vague, but you need to know what you do better than anyone else, especially when you're trying to make a change. Everyone's trying to be really good at all these things, like everything. But what if I told you that we want spiky people? We want people who are best in class at what they do so that we can call upon them to help us in those places. Obviously, we want to be competent at the things that we need to be competent at. But imagine you could have a calling card and you were best in class at what you do and you figure out at one thing. When you figure that one thing out, you can spend a little bit of time and get exponential results in that area versus someone who's spending a lot of time across many different areas. And that is an incremental result that is just a small step change, but it's not really the one that gives you these dramatic kind of 10x, 100x exponential results. And so knowing that becomes part of that personal mission, which is like, I know myself and I know that I'm utilizing my gifts. That was one of the things that really burned me in the beginning when I didn't know even what my gifts were. I just knew I wasn't utilizing my time well. And so I'm trying to save you guys a ton of time by offering it to you now and telling you you got to go right for that. You got to figure that out now because the sooner we figure those things out, the sooner we start to leverage them, become so skilled at those things, the more engaged you will be in your work, the more valuable you will be. As you start to articulate that more and more for yourself, you're better able to articulate it to everyone else. And so I have a process for identifying what those things are, as well as crafting your ideal role based on your strengths and your gifts. So these are going to help you create your sense of a personal brand. You can think of it as a mission statement that aligns with your values, that aligns with your strength. Okay. The third step is to really shift those beliefs. So there are usually two reasons that people don't make a change that they want to make in their life. The first reason is process. They don't know exactly what to do, the strategy behind it, so that they don't make that change into the thing they desire. Clear, we understand that. And if you don't know the strategy for the jobs that you're looking for, then you need to get help and figure that out. The second reason is that they have a belief or a mindset that keeps them from moving forward. What this means is that they believe something that isn't going to allow them to make that change. I was recently talking to someone about this kind of like poor mindset versus a wealthy mindset, and how even if sometimes people have a ton of money, they don't know how to use that money in a way that leaves them wealthy, that leaves them feeling wealthy, and more importantly, being wealthy. They kind of always see themselves as where they are today and not as where they want to be. So then they never shift into using the money in longer term, more strategic ways. They only use it for these really short term kind of fun things, and then don't think about how can I use that to help keep some kind of sustainable way of living, so that I don't have to keep making money the same way, or I can have different options that I create for myself and future generations. And so this is another point that's really interesting but difficult, is that people end up wanting to make changes, but they just don't. And it's usually not because of intelligence, it's because there's something in them that actually doesn't allow for it. The fourth step is to design your work and life so that you find a job you love. This looks like knowing how to have success early on in a job change. Many times we get into this feeling of it's not working because we don't see success. So find small wins constantly in your job change. This sounds like it isn't related to designing your work and life, but it completely is. And the reason for that is because even today, you can make small tweaks to the things that you have in order to make it work better for you. You can redefine success today. This is not something you need to do tomorrow or in a year from now. Today, you can do those things and to see what the gap is between where you are and what it is that success means to you, and make that shift now. And when I do this with clients, we actually walk through this personal strategy map and identify all these possible courses of actions and which ones to take first. There are usually way more things to try and to do than what you are considering. If you think I've done everything, think again. And the reason you don't want to be right here is because that means that there's no way possible for you to get the job you want, to find the thing that you love more than the thing you love today. And I want you to be wrong. And I want you to realize that you want to be wrong in these cases. And so this is where you can also figure out, if I have so many actions to take, that includes loving my job that I'm in even more. The best thing you can do whenever you're looking for the next thing is to just do the best you can with what you have today. Often, people don't want to give someone more if it looks like what with what they've got, they're not doing as much as they possibly can. And that is a sign of someone who also has positive attitude, has the work ethic, the commitment, and really the maturity. And so if you feel like you're constantly complaining, just take a breath and think about it from a mature point of view. You were hiring yourself right now. Would you want to be with you, working with you constantly? And if your attitude is one that feels like it's going down, 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 just check who you're surrounded by, what you're listening to, what you're fueling yourself with mentally and physically, how you're taking care of your health. Because often all these subtle signs of stress, of being kind of in the dumps, when we think about this mental attitude, is also a reflection of our internal and external environment, the way we treat ourselves, the way we treat our bodies, the way we listen to ourselves, the way we talk to ourselves. And so this is where we think about work and job design as this really holistic thing. And when you consider that there are times that you just don't want to even switch your job, that you know that you're going to stay put, that's what you could be working on to really leverage where you're at even more, to maximize what you're experiencing and the depth of the experience that you have in the time that you have. Because you're always going to have something you're curious about if you let yourself, even now, even here, even where you are today. There's always something that you're like, if I just tweak this a little bit like this, that would create so much more space for me to maybe think more deeply or be more strategic or actually make an impact or get this thing done that I know will have a ton of impact. There are things you could be working on now with the way you structure your day, your time, your energy, that even where you are now is going to show up and show people how much you can bring to the table when you want that next role as well. And so never look at what you have now as just done. Always look at it as if there's life there, that there's something there that you can start to mine for success, mine for a redefined version of a life that you want, and to fight for your happiness and for your peace and for your engagement and inspiration, even where you are today. You can, and I teach this all the time, craft your role to be even more suited to deliver impact, to create stories that you can tell now about what you're doing now so that when you go to the next thing, you can talk about it. You can talk about, look at this thing that I did. These are things you can do usually even within a week. You can make a call, you can reach out to someone, you can get put on a project, you can ask for certain things, you can improve processes, you can save time, you can save money. All those things you can do now, and it creates the best story. And even if you don't have a job today, and this is very important because some people are in this place now of not even having a job. So they're like, well, how am I going to get a job when I don't have a job? There are so many things you can do. The first one is to just take jobs. Many of us hold off. We don't want to take a job that isn't the forever job. And I think there's a time and a place when that doesn't work. And what I want you to consider is this. You have two options. One is that you take a job that is 80% there and you just move with it so that you feel like you're fine. The second option is you know you're fine. You feel fine. You don't have a rush to find that next thing. And then you can wait and you can start crafting. And when I say wait, it doesn't mean not do anything. You're still reaching out to people. And that brings us to that fifth step, which is getting into action. You want to be considering how you talk about what you do, which is very uncomfortable for a lot of people. Depends on who you ask. You always say, like, if someone knows what I'm doing, I talk about it this way. If someone doesn't, I talk about it this way. But I want you to try sharing your message, right? This is getting into action. What is your pitch? What is your message? Actually updating your resume for a change. And this is something that we can all do more often. How to actually interview, actually refining your techniques, not just doing the same thing every time, but evaluating how different things went, knowing the people that you're going to interview with, knowing the companies. These sound so basic, but oftentimes, and I have this checklist that I take people through for interview prep because it's basic, but I want you not to think about it as a thing that you just want to wing. I want you to feel prepared and be prepared for these moments that are huge opportunities for you to get the thing that you want, to actually be the person that they desire. And oftentimes, if you don't know your own story, you won't be able to share that with someone. So know your story better than anyone else and see how you are going to shine with those things during those interviews. And even follow up strategies, knowing how do I follow up? Am I following up? always following up, not because you're just chasing something down, but because it's natural. It's a part of the relationship that you're building, which is a long-term relationship with everyone that you meet. And I want you to consider it that way too. When you're getting into action, think of this as building relationships for the long term with every single person that you talk to, that you interview with, even just to find out more information, informational interviews. You'll also want to think about how to have more fun networking, how to build more relationships and better and deeper ones, as well as negotiating, which is so much fun. So those are the five steps, right? So the first one is to create the vision. The second one is to define that personal mission. The third step is to shift beliefs. The fourth step is to design your work and life. And the fifth step is to get into action. So I teach this, how to do this in 30 days so that you can have that job that you want in the next 30 days and start to make those moves. If you're not coming to the live retreat, we are going to be also going through this material digitally as well. And so you'll have access to the content immediately as soon as you start, and you'll get live coaching on these topics, one-on-one coaching personalized to you and your situation. People love this. We go through it and they get the dream jobs, they get the next thing, and they're in that place where they're like, wait, that actually happened. And so I want you to know that this process works and it works well. And not only that, I think that when you think about your place here in life and what you're here to do, I want you to have that curiosity to think, is this it? Am I really using my time well? And I want you to consider that you don't have to make huge sweeping changes, but there are so many little things you can do today to really be a magnet for what it is that you desire, which is a job that feels that you that has a lifestyle that you want, that is delivering the impact, that you get to work with great people. And all this is possible, even if you think that it's not going to be where you're at today. I promise you, because I've seen it again and again, that when you change and you do the work and you create the space, and you shift, eventually everything starts to shift around you and start to work for you. Life becomes simpler in terms of work. The time that you spend like intensely stressing and focusing on work actually decreases, your impact increases, and then you have time to start thinking about what you're really here for beyond your work, the spiritual work of knowing your meaning, your purpose, your values, how you want to leave the world better than you found it in your relationships, with your body, with the people around you in your community. And this is why I'm so passionate about this topic, is because when we figure out that unlock with work and we get it to a place where we feel really good, where we're really engaged, where we're delivering outstanding results again and again and again, you take that extra energy and you're able to use it in so many other ways. You can put it back into work to really deliver even more impact. You take that resistance that you've had to your work and the low key disengagement and put it into other things that suddenly ramp up maybe your personal life. Maybe you build relationships, you find that deep connection with a partner that you wanted, or even the reconnection with your body and the health that feels like you're have a sense of vitality again. So this is why it's not just about your work, it's about your life. And so if you want to get the job you want, it's about also getting the life you want. And I invite you to join this journey, do these 5 steps. If you want, you can do it with me as well. Reach out, www.mayamson.com/contact, to learn more about what coaching looks like, what the retreats look like, and the opportunities to work together to really take this journey of living your best life to the next level. And I've also created a free masterclass called Summer of Magic. So feel free to go to the link in the show notes, sign up for it. I have tons of free resources, guys. There's no excuse to not make the changes that you want. I have so many free resources for you, including all these podcasts, all of the things that you see on my Instagram page or all the social media, LinkedIn, all the things. And you can always use that even as you start to live your life today. All right, my friends, I hope you have an amazing week, and I will talk to you next time.
Thanks so much for joining us this week on Own Your Best Life. Make sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you listen to podcasts so that you'll never miss a show. And while you're at it, can you please rate and review on iTunes? I would so appreciate it. Share it with a friend, take a screenshot of it, and tag @MayEmson. This helps continue to get the word out. For more show notes and resources, check out www.mayemson.com. You'll have all the links to everything you heard here today. Thanks so much for listening. It's time to own your best life.